Hello and welcome to the Them Frames YouTube channel. I'm Dan and it's been a while, I'll admit that, but I'm back again with a new series of videos. And in this first one, I'm looking at the question, is physical touch okay in portrait photography? Now, before I get into it, guys, could I please quickly ask you to subscribe to the channel, hit a like if you're enjoying the content, and tap the bell icon so you never miss another one of my videos when they come up. Okay, so is physical touch okay in portrait photography? Now, this question came up from a post on Threads by a portrait photographer who put forth that physical touch is completely unnecessary and we should be showing the subjects how to pose in different situations. This came from John Branch IV, which, great name by the way, who in his own rights is a super talented portrait photographer with plenty of experience in the craft. But I didn't quite agree with the point he was putting forward. I actually felt that the post itself was sensationalizing the idea that physical touch was inherently a bad thing. Now, before we get into this, we really need to understand what we mean by touch in portrait photography. It means, readjusting someone to get the pose more accurate, in a better position. Perhaps it means sorting out kind of creases in the clothing or, getting some hair out of the face, things like that. Anything outside of that isn't really necessary and, of course, would be inappropriate. So that's what we mean by touch in portrait photography. And I think this is okay. But the most important thing here is we don't just go and touch someone without asking. We wouldn't do that in the street. We wouldn't do that at work. We wouldn't do that in pretty much any walk of life, would we? So if we are going to physically touch a subject, then we always have to get consent before we do so. Now, another commenter on Threads, quite rightly and with a good point, said, a subject who's inexperienced or maybe fearful of conflict may agree to physical touch when in actual fact they're not comfortable with it. They don't want to kind of disrupt the flow or they don't want to offend the photographer. And again, it's a fair point. So how do we counter this? Well, personally, although I'm traditionally a street and travel photographer, I've done several portraits shoots throughout my career. And the way I handle this is I present the option. I'll first go in with a no-touch approach. Would you mind positioning yourself like this? Could you just get some hair out of the way? Can we readjust the clothing here? If we're not quite getting to where we need to be for the best shot, then I will say, is it okay if I position you? Do you mind if I get the hair out of the way? That kind of thing. Now, if you're a good person, you've got good tonality and you've built trust, then 9 times out of 10, a subject will feel comfortable expressing what they're most comfortable with. The way we build trust actually begins prior to the shoot, before you've even met. What I do is, especially if it's a female subject, I'll always try and get someone else on set. If it's a female, I'll ask one of my female friends to join. And even better, I'll put forth the idea that the subject brings someone with them. They can bring a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a friend, whoever. Just someone where there's a dynamic where there's 2 people who know each other and the photographer. Now, you may be wondering, why is all this a big deal? Touch, why is it even a conversation? Well, unfortunately, in portrait photography and in life in general, there are some bad actors. Recently on Petapixel, there was a post that outlined there was a male photographer in the United States who'd been arrested and charged for inappropriate behavior with a female subject. The first thing he did was turn the subject's friend away, said there was no reason for them to be there. And then he brought alcohol onto the situation and allegations were made that he was then inappropriate. I'll leave a link down to the full story below so you can get all the details. I mean, just unless you know a subject really well, they're your friend, or you've worked with them many times over the years, even then, there's really no reason for alcohol to be on set. It's inappropriate. It's unprofessional, okay? And if you are a subject or model and a photographer, especially a male photographer, says you can't bring a friend or turns them away, then I would turn away as well with them, because it's not good practice on the photographer's part, and it's not worth you putting yourself in in potential danger. That said, despite there being some bad actors, call me an optimist, but I'd like to believe that most photographers, man or woman, come into portrait photography with honest, creative intentions. And human touch isn't a bad thing, quite the contrary. I mean, it's a way we build trust and rapport with each other. So to completely remove touch out of the equation, to me, is sad. But of course, we can only introduce it with consent and by creating a safe environment where the model and subject feels that they can express what they're comfortable with. But that's my take on it. I'm actually interested to know what you think. So let me know down in the comments below. Is physical touch okay in portrait photography? How do you manage the topic and how do you approach it as well? Also remember, guys, please do subscribe, hit a like and tap the bell icon. It lets the algorithm know that you're enjoying the content and it pushes it out to other people. I'll be back again with a new video shortly. Until then, you keep shooting and keep enjoying this craft that we love so much. I'm Dan. This is Them Frames. See ya.